Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's husband attempts to murder her, Spider-Man style. Am I the butthole for going home after my husband dangled me over the parking garage edge as a prank and I thought that he was killing me? I went out with my husband to eat at a place nearby that we had booked for that time, and he wanted to go for a while, and he had been really looking forward to it, and I drove him there and we parked on the top floor of the parking garage nearby. We got out of the car and started walking down the stairs, which were right on the edge of the parking garage. He started talking about how high up we were, and jokingly asked if I thought that I could survive if I jumped down there, and obviously I wouldn't have. As we were turning down the stairs and were right next to the edge, which had a small railing before a straight drop, he shouted out, "Say goodbye!" and suddenly grabbed me and picked me up and brought me over the edge and dangled me there. And I effing screamed out and was so scared. I thought that he was going to kill me. And he held me over the edge for a second and then pulled me back and put me down. And I was in shock. And he was laughing like it was the funniest thing ever. And I was still processing what he just did to me. I was legitimately shaking, and I lost my appetite and mood to be out, and I just decided I wanted to go home. I told him I'm going home, and he said that it was just a joke, and he was just trying to have fun, and I told him he can come home with me now, or he can take the bus, but I'm driving home right now. He said I ruined the date because he'd been really wanting to eat there and huffed on the way back, and I was still shocked because I was literally hanging over the edge, and I called to tell them that we aren't showing up. I got home and was just thinking about it and started crying. He didn't even come over and console me, but he apologized later, but it was like, "Sorry you got scared," instead of "sorry for doing something I shouldn't have." My mood was just ruined for the rest of the day. So, Reddit, am I the butthole for going home? This exact scene was in a movie. I think it was the original Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, where a couple of high school hotshot bullies dangle Mary Jane over, I think it was a mall. They dangle her 3 stories up in the mall as like a clearly evil, comically evil bad guy thing to do so that Peter Parker can step in and be the triumphant hero. I'm Spider-Man. I'm saving the damsel in distress. So yeah, this is a comically evil thing to do. It's not attempted murder. What's the charge for this? Reckless endangerment, I guess? It's definitely illegal because if his grip slipped, you'd be dead. This legitimately feels like divorce territory. I mean, attempted murder, come on, doesn't get much more divorcey than that. I'd be out of there, girl. Because realistically, how could you ever trust that he wouldn't do that again? Haha, wouldn't it be funny if I choked you in your sleep? Haha, wouldn't it be funny if I drove this car into a tree? I'm such a prankster. Am I the butthole for doing nothing for the child that my ex-wife had from her affair, even now that I have primary custody of our kids? I'm a 36-year-old guy, and 6 years ago, I learned that my wife, who's currently 37, was cheating on me. I ended our marriage and filed for divorce, but everything was delayed because she was pregnant. Once her child was born and it was established that I was not the biological father, my name was removed from the birth certificate and the biological father's name was added. They were a couple at this point. Throughout, we shared 50-50 custody of our 3 children together. My kids were old enough to figure out what happened. I got them therapy eventually after my ex resisted putting them in therapy, and we had talks about everything. I did my best to reassure them that they didn't need to hate anyone for me or reject anyone on my behalf. But their relationship with their mom never recovered, and the relationship with her youngest never existed from what I know. The affair partner took off 3 years ago, and since then, the ex-wife has requested that I take an active part in her affair child's life because I'm so involved in our kids' lives. Each and every time she's made this request via the parenting app, I've firmly said no. She tried to take full custody of our kids because I refused to include her youngest, and a judge told her it didn't work like that, and I did not have a legal responsibility to her youngest child. I ended up with primary custody of my kids a year ago because my ex-wife made some very bad decisions, and not only lost the house she was staying in, but lost her job, had no savings, and overall was left with next to nothing. After this happened, her request for me to do something for her child increased. I ignored them for the most part, and did as I was instructed to do by my lawyer and replied to the ones that indicated I was responsible for ensuring the child was adequately cared for. Those I did say no to, and reminded her there were places she could go to if she needed help feeding her youngest. Our kids still must go to her house every other weekend for visitation, and they hate it. This angers my ex because they have zero relationship with her youngest, and it angers her that I won't ensure that all the kids have a good relationship and that her youngest knows what it's like to have a fatherly figure. She said that she would allow me to adopt her child if I was willing. Then she said that she would at least like me to do something, to express some care for her child. Send birthday and Christmas gifts, send food occasionally, offer to let her child join in for some activities. I do none of this. I've asked my kids if they would like to spend time with their half-sibling or give gifts, but they always said no. And they told me that when they can make the decision not to go to their mom's house, they won't have anything to do with her child either. My ex has become more angry because there are things her child has missed out on, and apparently they ask more questions now. Some of her questions on the app are now extremely hostile. There's nothing I can do about this for the moment, but they're saved, so if we end up back in court, they can be shown. She told me that I act like I'm such a good person, but that I treat a child like garbage. I don't feel bad exactly. I know that I would have a very hard time being around this child, and they're innocent, so I prefer to stay away and not let them feel the weight of my issues with their mother and how they were conceived. But maybe this makes me an awful person? I know at the end of it all, this is a child who only got my ex and nobody else, and the child is innocent, like I stated, which brought me here to ask, am I the butthole? This story really highlights the problem with the rSlash Am I the Butthole subreddit. It's not really a problem, it's just sort of a byproduct of human nature, where only good people have the self-reflection to be like, wait a second, I want to be a good person. Is this behavior consistent with being a good person? Bad people just do whatever they want and don't care about the consequences or how their actions affect anyone else. So as a result, rSlash Am I the Butthole is like 99% not the butthole, and the other people in the stories are the buttholes. Because it sucks that the one person who's actually a good person, the victim in this story, is like, oh man, am I doing something wrong here? When it's the mother and the cheating affair partner should be the ones being like, hey guys, am I the butthole? Because I think I might be. OP, you are easily in the clear here. You get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your wife and her cheating partner 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. How generous of her to let you adopt a child that you don't want. That way she'll be free to go screw other guys all she wants, right? Am I the butthole for threatening to expose my dad's affair with his wife to get him to stop fighting for me to be at his house? I'm a 16-year-old guy, and when I was 8, my parents divorced because my dad was cheating on my mom with another woman who is currently his wife. My dad actually took me to her house a few times to watch her kid so they could cheat. She was married too. When the affairs got exposed, Dad and the ex-husband had to do DNA on her kid. The kid I used to watch did belong to his actual father, but he took off. My mom ended her marriage to Dad. I've hated my dad ever since, and I hate his wife too. They got married and had kids together, and they tried to make us one happy family. But I never wanted any part of it, and life's always hell when I'm around. I don't like or respect either one of them. They both know it. I will not help them, even if they only want something small. And for the whole time my parents have been broken up, I wanted to live only with my mom. I was in therapy until a couple of months ago, but it only made me realize how much I want to go no contact with my dad. He always fights for me though. The judge didn't listen to me in court either. Being 16 doesn't give me a say in any of this. And my mom could lose custody if I refuse to go to my dad's house. After court the last time, Dad told me I needed to forgive him and move on. He told me I'm hurting the other kids by making it so clear I don't want to be around the family. I told him I'm not forgiving him. I told him he was nasty to bring me into his affair, and his wife was nasty for thinking she was anything to me other than the trash he cheated with. He told me that if his wife is trash, then he must be trash too, and I said, yep. Him and his wife both tried after that to change my mind, and she told me how much the kids see me as their real brother, and they'd be crushed to know that I'm indifferent to them. I told her that was a problem for her and Dad to deal with. They told me I don't get to stop going to the house just because I'm angry, and Dad promised he wouldn't stop fighting. So I asked them how they'd feel about their coworkers knowing about their affair. They have coworkers over most Friday nights. They have no idea how my dad and his wife met and about the affair. I told them that if Dad didn't let me go to my mom's, I'd let the coworkers know, and I didn't care if anyone else heard. They told me I couldn't do that, but I told Dad that I was serious, and that's how badly I want to be done with him. He let me go back to my mom's that night, and I haven't been back since. But he's complaining to Mom about it all the time. She had to mute him because he keeps texting her repeatedly. I saw a few texts, and he's saying I went too far to expose them like that. He even got my aunt, his sister, to tell me I went too far, and I risked hurting the kids the most and costing them their jobs or whatever. I don't know how that would work, but that's what my aunt said. She told me I should have tried to be more mature about it. Am I the butthole? Here's what I want to know. How come the father and the cheating woman in this are so concerned about the feelings of their biological kids together, but they don't seem at all concerned about OP's feeling being an 8-year-old boy watching another kid so his dad can cheat on his mom? I can't imagine the amount of guilt that would create for an 8-year-old realizing that you're helping your dad cheat. But at the same time, what choice do you have? You're 8. I'm not trying to blame OP. I'm saying that what OP's dad did was incredibly unfair to him. And now he's saying, but you have to be fair to your half-siblings. No, not really. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your dad and the cheater 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for getting my coworker fired for his repeated visible dick print? I'm a 19-year-old woman, and I'm interning part-time, and we all dress casually. I was alone in a room at my office one morning, and my coworker Josh, late 20s, male, came and started chatting with me. When I turned to face him, I could clearly see the outline of his erection. He was wearing thin sweatpants, and they left nothing to the imagination. I didn't say anything. After, he left, and I just went back to work. I ignored it the first time, but it kept happening. Josh would come alone to chat, and each time he was visibly hard, and I could see it through his flimsy shorts, or sweatpants, or thin dress pants. Like, he didn't even act embarrassed or try to hide it. He'd just stand there like it's nothing. He acts normal around everyone else, and this hasn't happened any other time I've seen him, not with others around, just when it's only us. I didn't bring it up to anyone yet, I just didn't want to appear dramatic and didn't want to make myself a target. Then he started making these comments. It's hot out. I had to wear these shorts today. One day, Josh came over and he asked me to come to his apartment nearby over lunch. I politely declined, and as he was leaving, he said, "All right, I've got to go to the bathroom to take care of something. See you around," while glancing down. He clearly had an erection and the outline was clear. That was it for me. I went to HR and reported everything. HR put Josh under review and he ended up being fired with cause. Now, some of my coworkers are icing me out. One of my coworkers sarcastically muttered, "I made sure to wear proper pants today. Didn't want anyone to get any ideas," while I was having lunch near some of them and they laughed. My boss has been talking to me less, and I feel alienated. I just wanted Josh to stop. Am I the butthole here? Clearly, this guy knew what he was doing. He was pursuing his weird fetish of talking to women, I guess? Man, has this guy never even seen a girl before? How can you get that excited just from talking to someone? OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Josh 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.